This is Mr. Eckert. I'm live from my classroom today because I have some extra time that I can do everything. This is the last couple of things and notes that we're going to do. So this is part 4 of the notes, and we're going to go through them just like we did the other 3 and go from there. So the title of part 4 was We're Still in the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, all of that is the same thing. The Crusades and the Carta. Remember previously we were talking about Charlemagne and the church and Henry IV and all that. So let's talk about the Crusades. First, what is a crusade? Well, it's a holy war, a religious war to regain the Holy Land, which specifically was Jerusalem for Christians. What had happened was that the Muslim armies had invaded almost all the way up to Constantinople, and they needed help to defeat them. So the Pope called for knights and other people that have fought to come and try and take back this Holy Land for Christ. It's what he called a holy war, a religious war. He did that and went not so great, as you'll see here in a second. The Pope promised a lot of things in order to get people to buy into this. He actually said all those who will die will have immediate salvation. So if you die while there, you'll have immediate salvation. He also offered riches. You can get rich by going because you can take all the stuff that the Muslims had. Little did they know that the Muslims didn't have like money and stuff. They had like technology and new systems of math and things like that. So that's what they got instead of gold and silver and things like that. This is him talking to the knights and monks and all these people that signed up, saying, go with God as your guide, because a lot of them did not know where they were going. They didn't have maps. They got lost. They did a lot of stuff that wasn't so great. And we experienced that in our own crusade as we went around the school. The battles of the Crusades, there were 8 total Crusades. There were some other ones in there, like the Children's Crusade, but we're not going to worry about those. And the first 3 are the most important. In the first Crusade, the Christians did very well. They actually conquered Jerusalem, held it for about 100 years, until this guy. The second Crusade, a Muslim leader named Saladin, a general, retook the city of Jerusalem and the Holy Land, and they lost the second one. The third one, King Richard, very famous, called King Richard the Lionhearted. He is the brother of King John, who we'll talk about in a second. He fights this general, loses, actually dies as well, so King John becomes the new king of that territory. And it does not go well. And for Crusades 4 through 8, they keep on losing and losing. So it is a
epic fail.
It's an epic fail for the Christians, kind of like these pictures. So the Crusades, the knights didn't get anything that they wanted. They may have gotten salvation, but we really won't know. There was a big old failure, not great. However, there are some other things that happened. First, unfortunately, they did not win, so the Holy Land remained under Arab control, under the Muslims. The Europeans realized that there were more to the world than just Europe, so they went to Asia, they went to the Middle East. Some even went to Africa and learned some stuff, so they realized that the world is bigger than just them. Trade expanded. They got to trade with Asia and China and all that. They got new technology like gunpowder and coffee and different technologies from Muslims and Asians. They became more unified, almost as much unification as Charlemagne got before. They all had a common enemy, so that's why they got what they did. That brings us to kind of like another thing. So that's all happening in Europe, right? Then we have in England a totally different situation. we have Vikings coming in and invading, and they're right next to, the place where Vikings come from. And this guy, Alfred the Great, unites England, stops the Vikings, does very, very well, and he becomes the new king of England, basically. His ancestor named, King Edward is his ancestor, his descendant, I should say, not ancestor. His descendant, King Edward, died, and two people claimed the throne. One was Harold Godwinson, the other one was William of Normandy. Normandy was in France, so he should not even have play in this King of England stuff. But he said that he was promised the throne by Godwinson, who did have a claim to it because he was one of the sons of the advisors to Edward. So big old fight starts to happen between France and England because of this, between William of Normandy and Harold Godwinson, until the Battle of Hastings. This is the battle that happens in 1066. And literally, it's a conflict of who should be king, and William wins it. He actually renames himself William the Conqueror because he conquered all of England to become King of England. Defeats Harold Godwinson. Harold Godwinson is actually shot through the eye with an arrow and is killed. And there he is being killed with an arrow. Infection. So that moves us to the Magna Carta. Years later, we got a guy named King John. King John was not a great guy. He was going against the church by not selecting bishops that they wanted. He was going against nobles and church by not using the taxes the correct way. And so a lot of people did not like him. The church ends up leaving all of England. The nobles threaten to leave if they do not agree to a set of written demands and rights that they have come up with called the Magna Carta. And this is what it said. So it said, I, King John, accepted that I have to rule according to the law.
This is important.
This is important because John did not do that before. He was putting people in prison without a trial. He was stealing from people. He was doing literally whatever he wanted to. So that's why it's super important. And him signing this says he's going to rule according to the law. So he agrees to, first, not imprison the nobles without trial. Second, have fair taxation for everybody, not just the church and the nobles and stuff like that, but everybody. Let nobles travel wherever they want to, not interfere in church matters like selecting a bishop, or archbishop in this case, and not to take crops without paying for them. So fairly good, easy stuff, and there was more, but we're not going to get into it. So we have a brain snack.
The zombies are coming.
So this brain snack is called Crystal Ball. I'm basically having you predict what's going to happen. So we look into the crystal ball and we have a question. What do you think King John did after signing the Magna Carta? A lot of you guys did really, really well on this question and basically said that he didn't do anything. And this is what happened. He signed the document, but then he just ignored it. He still did whatever he wanted to. He actually went out and killed whoever signed it and made him sign it. But why it's important is because we get a lot of the same rights, like rights to a free trial and taxation and stuff like that in our Constitution.